Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Radio studios and broadcasting worldwide from yorbamedia.com. All right, I'm joined on the show today with Don Wood, Chief Executive Officer and President, Federal Realty Investment Trust. FRT is a symbol. All right, Don, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure. This segment, I'd like to see if we can dive into the 2013-2014 milestones and accomplishments, and then finish it off if we can with what the future holds for FRT.
Sure. Well, let me start by saying, past experience is a pretty good indicator of the future, but as you know and your listeners know, it's not everything. And as we sat back, and we actually do each year and plan for the following more than 1 year going forward, the reality is consumer habits are changing. And in our view, at least, retail real estate has to be an experience. It has to be part of the lifestyle of not just millennials, but folks in every generation. And our properties tend to do that, and do that in spades. But what we've been doing to assure that future and the continuation of that is planning and building and now delivering in 2014, and it will continue into next year and the year after that, delivering some of the finest mixed-use products in the country. And when I say mixed-use, think about a place where you can live and live in an apartment, and you can work in your office, and you've got, in most cases, accessibility to mass transit, and you can shop, and you can eat, and you can entertain. And so there are, everybody in every market knows about, a few of those mixed-use projects in and around their area. Some of them work. Most of them don't, because they're complicated. But I can tell you that what we're in the middle of, and we started it 15 years ago with the creation of Santana Row in San Jose, and are still building and continuing that today, along with Bethesda Row in Bethesda, Maryland, that we've learned a lot about how to make the street, from a retail perspective, vibrant, how to make it a big part of the socialization of a community. And today, we are just delivering the first phases of projects just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, at a project we call Assembly Row. And Assembly is a wonderful retail street with outlet-type shopping, in addition to some great restaurants, in addition to some great entertainment in the form of great theater and a Legoland Discovery Center, in a community that really was lacking. And we've just delivered the first phase. This provides us a window to continue to build and continue to add phases to Assembly Row over the next 7 to 10 years. We're doing the same thing in Rockville, Maryland, which is outside of Washington, D.C., at a new project called Pike and Rose, of 490 apartments on top of a great retail street. The second phase, which is just coming, will include, or which is just being approved now, will include a hotel, will include additional apartments and more retail. These type of environments are sustainable. These type of places create that kind of lifestyle that, in our view, will be the most sustainable over the next 20, 30, and even 40 years.
Let's talk about that, because you just were touching on it and talking about the future. How do you see your industry evolving as we go into the future? It sounds like this is one of the cornerstones of where this industry sector starts to turn.
Yeah, it's critical. A lot of times people see REITs and kind of lump us all in one category because, well, we've got this funny acronym called REIT, and what is that thing? But when you sit and you think through it, and this is where I started the program, a REIT is just like any other company, and not all companies are created equal. The real estate that every company owns is not created equal. And so from our perspective, again, we were formed in 1962, so we've been around an awful long time. We believe in the more urban projects. We believe you need a lot of people with money to spend, and probably most importantly, barriers to entry, so that there can't be a competing product just down the street from you, that takes away your leverage. And so we've watched over a very long period of time through lots of changes in consumer buying habits, what works and what doesn't work. The common denominator is people. So you have to have a lot of them. and when you compare, when you talk today to retailers and try to understand where they're going, the consumer buying habits and their distribution channels, the retailers' distribution channels, are all coming together. It's not about being afraid of the internet if you're a retailer necessarily, or if you're a good landlord like Federal is. It's about taking advantage of it and creating an environment that works for whatever way you tend to buy your goods. And again, that's why I think we're positioned better than most when you sit and you think about the future.
Well,
I guess the second thing you want to talk about there, or I'd like to talk about there, is interest rates. And interest rates are at historic lows. They've been for a sustained period of time now. But to think that if interest rates go up, that a company can't sustain itself or continue to grow, boy, it would be one bad business plan if it required interest rates at this level to be able to grow. So if you look at the laddering of our debt maturities, if you look at the growth inherent in our properties, you can visibly see, even with rising interest rates, growth in this income stream. And so we're positioned today better than we have been, frankly, since I've been here, which is now 17 years.
You know, I'm not alone in saying I'm very impressed with what you brought to the table on our show. But let me, if I may, just divert just a little bit to invite you to take a look at what we're doing here in Dallas. One of my partners is laying all the fiber optic cable, which in an area kind of like Greenwich Village, if you will, for Dallas. And we're creating a whole new economic environment here, where 1,200 people a day are moving into our area. If you were to take a look, this is from the captain's chair, if you will, take a look at something that's kind of embryonic at that stage. What were some of the key critical things that come to mind that you would want to look at first before you actually made an effort to step in and investigate further an opportunity like that? I want to get a look into the inside of your mind on an investment level for your company.
The most important thing is potential for a retailer to be successful. Not necessarily that all retailers are successful; they're not, and frankly, that's got lots to do with lots of different individual things. And there's some good companies and some bad companies, some that adapt, some that don't. But if we can create a place that retailers can be successful in, then we'll take a shot. And let me back up and tell you what I think that means. It does mean there does need to be significant density of population. It does mean, in our view, there has to be disposable income that can be used. And it does mean that it can't be an area that is so completely over-retailed that there's no need for anybody else to be there. In fact, the ones that are there are just competing against each other. So it always starts with the location, always. But then beyond that, there is, in my view, the growing importance of mass transit, and it's not just New York or Washington D.C. It is clearly a growing trend. Convenience and efficiency are way up there in terms of the requirements from millennials and those generations coming forward. And so the combination of all those things and sustainability, it's very hard to be in a one-industry town. I much prefer a deep employee base with a lot of education. And frankly, when you talk about the specific demographics, education is one of the number one things that we look for in terms of our ability to make retailers successful. It's why we like Boston so much, frankly.
Don, we've come to the close of our of our segment with you. I want to thank you for taking your time and being on our show today.
It was a pleasure, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Mine too. Don Wood, Chief Executive Officer and President, Federal Realty Investment Trust. Website, federalrealty.com, symbol FRT. Special thanks to 1-800-publicrelations.com for all their PR and media support. Thank you all for listening, tuning in. Appreciate